Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite Dark Sorcerer here. And today I'd like to discuss with you philosophy and religious assault. A lot of Facebook groups, such as Wicked and Pagans, are how should I say this, superstitious when it comes to things. A lot of times you'll find individuals just jumping in because they want to be a part of something, but they fail to take into concept the difference between a fad and an actual assault through your philosophical belief structures. Now, here in the US, there are religious rights, religious views, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1969, specifically the Title VI, or to the VII, for an example, when it comes to religious freedoms and that of various different means of deployment through your personal life, from your family life to your workplace, your living agreement, your housing, right into work. Okay, not just your legal rights in themselves. It doesn't matter if you're on disability like SSI or SSDI, Social Security disability, or just plain Social Security income. It doesn't matter. Okay, your rights are protected. But a lot of these individuals, they'll go in and buy a house, and they'll come across something like some jars that are sitting in a like a wooden platform, and it's like, oh my God, they moved on their own. That's superstitious. Okay, plain and simple. I'm going to tell you that right now. A lot of, just underneath this one post that I was reading on some jars, the post was, "What are these?" And it came down to, hold that thought real fast. Okay, I'm actually going to let you. Okay, no, I don't mind, but I. All right. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. That was actually my better half calling me. She wanted to know some stuff. So, but anyways, yeah. So a lot of these individuals just jumped on this because they wanted to know what this jar was. So you got people sitting there go, "Oh, it's a sour jar spell. You got to bury it. You got to get rid of it." And it's like, number one, all you know is that it's a big jar that's been there for a while, most likely for 40 to 50 years, and it's turned into some kind of black vial. For all you know, this could easily be jarred pickles. It could have been a scientific experiment that people forgot about. You don't know. But you got all these chumps and wannabes wanting to be a part of this. But what about those few that are actually being attacked? You see, there was this one post that they moved into an apartment and they've been hated ever since. but they don't have the money to move. Okay. So they're unable to move to another place. They're being hated and verbally discriminated against in one way or another. They go out for a walk and come back and they find some form of powder being that's been shoved underneath the garage door and a clear account of spell work on the front porch. Two different types of candles, I might add. Okay. You see, this is how you know that some form of ritual has been placed against you. Okay. And that it's supernatural in nature. And I took one look at the photos. I knew exactly what was going on there. But at the same time, I read down through the post and what just from what they said, that mixed in with this spell clearly was a spiritual and magical assault upon them. So I told them what you need to do is reversals, protection, cloaking, and canceling that shit out. Okay? Just basically get rid of it on all levels. Number one, cloaking yourself prevents your enemies from seeing your movements. Protection makes sure this shit doesn't touch you again. And wardings literally keeps that unwanted stuff out of your hair. Reversals is basically a return to sender. It's like, you know, exactly what it is, too. Sorry for the childish moment, but you know what I mean. It's right there. It's right in your face. You send this shit to me, guess what? Here's a reversal for you. Gone. How do you like it? Your own sorcery coming back at you. Okay? But the big thing that I recommended was a trap. And I told this individual, this is the type of traps that I would recommend to you. Number one, it shows them that you know your shit. And number two, it will show that you are not to be fucked with. Okay? And yes, you heard me correctly. You are not to be fucked with. Okay? Number one, and I'll tell you this straight up, you never attack a superior mage. Why? Because you will get your ass kicked. All right? And it's funny to see how many people I see trying to attack superior mages and sages, practitioners of various different religious belief structures. And it's like, number one, if they haven't attacked you, don't attack them. Let them run their mouths. But at the exact same time, if they are singling you out, take the satanic approach. Don't turn the left cheek, but smash them in the right. Completely obliterate your enemy. Don't take it. Because that's basically becoming abuse at that point. And it's funny to see because people who claim to be practitioners for a certain amount of time, within a year time, you should know how to do this stuff. You should know the difference between being attacked and not being attacked. You should have some basic understanding of how to defend yourself in a magical assault, either through legal means, magical means, or supernatural means. You There's no excuse for not. But if you don't know what to do, then fall back on your creed, your philosophy. You see, It doesn't matter what tradition you're in, every tradition has some form of philosophy to it. How you present yourself, how you deal with any given situation. And the thing is that people expect you to be, especially if you're on the left hand path, that you will be violent, that you'll just lash out. But they're completely surprised when you just sit back, smile, and go, whatever, because you know where you're going to be in just a short amount of time. But you don't attack a superior mage. You don't attack uninvoked. This one individual, she's clearly being attacked. She's clearly being sought after, and she is clearly being a target. So the next question is, why are they attacking her? Is it because of her religious beliefs? Or did she accidentally step on toes and didn't realize it? You see, that's the thing this individual needs to contemplate on. Meditation really helps you to find that clarity. But at the same time, you really want to make sure that you eliminate the avenues. If a spell work has been done on you, you really want to cancel that out. That's the first priority. The second priority is the cleansing. And then the third priority is figuring out who and why. What is it about you that makes these individuals want to attack you? You see, it could be out of jealousy, it could be out of spite, or maybe it's just because you're in their way. Either way, when it comes to these types, there is no talking to them. There is no diplomacy. There is literally nothing you can say or do to get them to back the fuck off. The only thing they're interested in is removing you. And that's what this individual clearly is doing. Is trying to eliminate this individual without any remorse. So in this case, my recommendation is this. Cancel it out. Cleanse yourself. Put up wardings of various kinds. And then put down a nice little trap. Something that would be, in my opinion, spiteful, hatred, vindictive. Something that is completely vile that will make them think twice before coming at you again. But when we're talking Wiccans and pagans, they follow the threefold law. So do unto those who would do unto you is something that, let's just say it's something that they don't consider. It's kind of like going against your own nature. It's like hitting your head against a brick wall. But when you're talking philosophy, it doesn't matter if you're going through the martial arts, like say Bushido or Shinto, or you know, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, maybe even Dante's Inferno. You know, The Art of War. Let's go with War and Peace, the Russian classic. They all teach you various different means of dealing with people, either one on one in a polite, sociable, enjoyable method, or of a baneful nature. Either way, if we're talking political, like Tasha just put up here, because of the law, basically, that it becomes an act of deceit. It becomes disinformation. So, therefore, you need to remove yourself from that political bullshit and utilize what Sun Tzu would recommend as the spy effect. You can, the 5 methods of being and utilizing a spy. Very beneficial. Now, why don't I just read that to you real fast? Just a couple of sentences here, because I think that it will incite you. Sun Tzu said, raising a host of 100,000 men and marching them great distances entails heavy loss on the people and a drain on the resources of the state. The daily expenditure will amount to 1,000 ounces of silver. There will be commotion at home and abroad, and men will drop down exhausted on the highways. As many as 700,000 families will be impeded on their labor, or in their labor, I should say. Hostile armies will face each other for years, striving for the victory, which is decided in a single day. This being so, to remain in ignorance of the enemy's condition simply because one grudges the outlay of 100 ounces of silver in honors and the emoluments is the height of inhumanity. One who acts thus is no leader of men, no present help to his sovereign, no master of victory. Thus, what enables the wise sovereign and the good general to strike and conquer and achieve things beyond the reach of ordinary men is foreknowledge. And it goes on from there. Okay? And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about this. I mean, even Marcus Aurelius said how quickly all things disappear. Punish only he who has committed the crime. If something is possible for any other man, it is possible for you too. Words are opinion, not fact. Action is the only truth. There is nothing that hinders you from doing what must be done. To expect bad men not to do wrong is madness. The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. Accept the things to which fate binds you. That is between part 1, part 3, and part 4 of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And I want you to think about those quotes just for a moment. What does it mean? Be unlike your enemy. Action means more. But yet, expecting a bad man to do nothing is madness, right? So knowing that the social chain is for the government, the sovereign, and all the political heads, their only means is not to agree on anything except for one thing, which is to get paid. When they're in office, they can pat themselves on the back as much as they want, but it's the people who suffer. Therefore, there's a little thing called the Fifth Amendment right, which means that you as the individual have a right to rise up and challenge the state. Think of Haiti for an example. Prime example. How much brutality have they suffered between the French and the American people, government? Over 300 years of oppression. And that's just in voodoo alone. Not just slavery, but voodoo. I want you to think about that for just a minute. Now, what did these elders of voodooism do? They got together. They literally rebelled several times, all the way up into the 1970s. That's right, the 1970s. And even today, because of all the debt, because of all this upheaval, they are in the top 20 most poorest countries. I want you to think about that for just a minute. Because they rebelled, right? They drove out the French, what they refer to commonly as American occupation, not once but twice. And now they have freedom to worship whatever deity or religion they want. I want you to think about that for just a minute. Now, think about the difference between white magic and black magic. What if I told you that that is an illusion? What if I told you that there's no such thing as white magic? There's no such thing as green magic. That is only your limited perception. Magic is magic. Sorcery is sorcery. And therefore, what you do with it is solely up to your nature as an individual. Have we learned nothing from the Christian invasion? Think about that. How many people suffered and have been put to death? How many wars have been waged from the Dark Ages to the Crusades, the witch trials, the burning times, the religious wars that have taken place in the name of their sovereign? But when it comes down to it, it comes down to a philosophy. It comes down to your religious perspectives and what you're willing to do. Think about that. Today, countries have laws, both federal and district, state. We refer to these as borough laws. Each one has a unique perspective. Even here in the United States, going to England, and you're going to see over the last 300 years how their witchcraft laws went out of went into play. Go into Africa, and you're going to see theirs. Go down into the Caribbean, and you're going to see theirs. It's called common ground, but it's how you play that game that makes you a winner or a loser. But it comes down to that spell work. It comes down to you as the practitioner, and it comes down to the name of the game: philosophy and religious warfare. What are you willing to do? Meditate, find clarity, and go from there.